Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 256, Tune-Up, Relap, Recap for Lap 11. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe 2, and this episode's brought to you by Heights, Hot Rod and Muscle Car Parts, engineered performance for over 30 years. H-E-I-D-T-S Heights.
H-E-I-D-T-S Heights. Well, shout out to them and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. Joe, this might be the last intro we ever do, because now the next episode we're going to our one segment sort of model. So get nostalgic here. This is our maybe our last intro. Well, because we're never going to do like the intro.
Yeah.
The intro won't be an intro. The intro will be the whole thing. I mean, we'll still do this, but
yeah.
the demarcation between this is going to be our last break, maybe, unless we get bored of the new thing and go somewhere else. But Joe, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to since we last spoke?
Just watching a lot of sports all weekend. I was all excited. I went into work Thursday, and I was like, guys, I'm feeling good. I woke up knowing we got one day. Then we had sports all weekend because we had an F1 race, we had soccer, we had football coming, college football, and then the fucking Queen dies and cancels all of English soccer for me. So I take full responsibility for killing the Queen, guys. It was my excitement over having every sport all weekend.
Well, you know that like things in the UK actually shut down, like comedy shows canceled, TV shows canceled.
Funerals, doctor's appointments, yeah, everything. Like everything.
Morning.
Completely. So yeah, my excitement for soccer that weekend is the reason why everything shut down. So I apologize. I got to watch an awesome Steelers game this weekend, which I'm sure you saw highlights of or saw a little bit of. Amazing. So I was all hype on that. Still hype on that. Other than that, what is it? Like last night we watched like the first half of Top Gun Maverick.
Are you now convinced that everyone was not gaslighting you?
Yes. When we sat down, I was like, Rachel, look, everyone said this. And then like we sit down and it had like a little clip of the rating of it. And I think maybe like Rotten Tomatoes had like 99% still. And I was like, Rachel, look, it still has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. She's like, I don't know. And then we started watching it. We're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's a lot of fun. So nobody was gaslighting me. The movie is really good so far. But I only got through half of it. Yeah.
Cool.
Jeopardy's back, so I'm excited about that. New Jeopardy started. They were on like summer break. And I'm getting ready for a fun time weekend, so that's about it. How about you?
Cool. PSA to everyone out there, I got my COVID booster number 2 today and my flu shot, so I'm feeling good so far. So
I got mine on Friday. I only got one. Rachel got both of hers again on... Yeah, Rachel got both of hers on Monday, and she was like really arm sore. Are you not arm sore?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, because like... Mine,
I'm just really strong.
Yeah. No, mine felt like I got like punched in the arm like pretty bad for like about 48 hours. Like it like went up and about 24, 36 hours later is like at the peak of like, oh my God, I can't lift my arm up at all. And then like it started to taper down and I'm totally fine now. But that was pretty much...
I mean, I'm only 4.5 hours in, so that still might hit. But like that doesn't usually hit me for shots. I don't know. But Who knows? Everything is a little bit different. This is also the bivalent, so maybe it's different. Who knows? I don't know. But that was the Carragale Regan PSA. Get your damn flu shot because it is entering flu season. So get that. You can get it for free basically anywhere. If you have health insurance, you get it for free just about anywhere. So
yeah,
go do that.
Flu shots are great, man. We usually get them at work. They do like a big like kind of pop up. So I'm waiting for that. Like they'll do like a clinic. They usually go like September and October. So I'm gonna get mine then. I don't know why they offered Rachel hers and not me mine when I got my COVID booster because she went to the exact same place, but. Maybe I was like a day early or something.
Yeah, what was cool about it, I mean, cool is a very strong word for something that just seems normal, is that when I made my appointment on Rite.com for the COVID booster,
yes,
it was like at the end, like when you're basically checking out, not that you're actually paying for anything, but when you're checking out, it's like, hey, do you want to add another immunization? I'm like, yeah, sure, flu, because like, I wanted to. So it's just like, hey, add to cart or whatever, right? So yeah.
That's pretty funny. It's like upselling you, like when you're like at Dunkin' Donuts, it's like, you want to add a 5-pack of Munchkins? You're like, yeah, for $1, sure.
Sure, why not? Yeah, so that was cool. So I got both those today in the same arm. So we'll say they're.
Oh, you did same arm. That's weird. I don't know. They
They're
normally
close
don't
enough
do that.
together that one Band-Aid covers both. I just always get both in the same arm, so who knows?
That's cool. Okay. They usually do one and the other. Weird. Cool.
No, she asked, and I'm like, no, both in the same. She's like, yeah, okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I think she sort of assumed. I think they gave the option, but, whatever.
No, that's cool.
Then we are also, as you were talking about, we're in peak sports season. So I've been watching like 6 baseball games at a time. Like I have like 1 on the TV and 1 on my laptop and like 4 on my other computer monitor.
Yeah.
Just because we are in fantasy baseball playoffs. So I don't want to count chickens, but things are looking good for me to advance to the finals. By the time this episode comes out to the main feed, the finals will be underway. I just don't know yet, but feeling pretty good through 9.5 of the 14-day matchup. So good there. But then, adding complications on top of that is football on Sunday. So I'm watching baseball games in addition to watching, football games and trying to stream through, whatever means necessary.
TiVo?
The Vikings. I don't even want to talk about TiVo. It's shit. Maybe it'll be here tomorrow.
Sorry.
We'll see.
Joey's been having TiVo problems and we've been talking about it, so I'm just like laughing.
I would tell the story if it was even remotely interesting.
It's not.
It's just
no,
like
it's
terrible
just,
customer
it's
experience.
just,
yeah.
He just has a TiVo story of them having shitty customer service. So yeah.
So that is that the new TiVo should here, and the second new TiVo should theoretically be here tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, so the Vikings absolutely manhandled the Packers, which was great.
Did you watch that thing I just said? That I said to you?
No, because I found that I scrubbed it. And then by the time I actually got to it, I needed to do the thing that we're going to do in the second half of this, and I'll watch that later. But I have it open to the timestamp. So
yeah, it's cool. So as you guys know, I talk about it a lot. Pat McAfee show, like I watch that all the time. It's on daily, and they finally got NFL footage rights. They never had rights to show plays from the games, right? This is like a big thing. You guys probably know this, but like it's actually hard to get rights to like show. That's why they have the thing like this is broadcast, all rights reserved. So he finally got them, and today he's like, okay, he has Darius Butler, who used to play for the Colts, and he was like in the studio. He was a cornerback. And he's like, okay, I'm going to break down like the plays from the secondaries, like the best one of the week and the worst one of the week. And it just so happened that the best one of the week was the Steelers. So I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And he broke down like a bunch of plays by the Steelers, like what they did good. And then to show the worst one of the week, he showed the Packers, who they played the Vikings. And I was like, Joey, look, this is awesome. So, yeah, it was a really cool thing to see. It was like higher level stuff, like like this guy making this one moves this one safety over, and he should have probably been here, and like all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to see. I hope that you watch it.
Yeah, we'll watch it. I have it open. I'm going to watch it as soon as we're done here.
No, I'm just saying in general. Like I hope that you watch it just because I think it's a cool, interesting thing, and like if you want to learn, like this is something that I don't know about, right? Like. Why is this safety here over being here, and like the positioning and like when the play moves, how they change, and it's crazy to see like somebody that has been there like break it down exactly how it should go and what happened.
Well, there's also, I don't follow a lot of people who are like tweeting about sports. Like I have a baseball list basically, so some football stuff sneaks through, but like most of them I'm out of the football realm. But like even I have been. I've seen a couple times the Peyton Manning sort of meme about him watching the end of the Monday Night Football game and like him calling for timeout. Like I watched the clip too, but he called for timeout 62 times, like while watching, just like, guys, what are we doing? And,
I was in bed and he's just like sitting there like, okay, now will be a good time to take a timeout. Mm-hmm. Let's get one here, and he just keeps going and going and going and going, and you see him calling timeout himself.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
Also, so on Friday, I recorded an episode of Con Air Pod with past guest and hopefully future guest, Mark Hoffmeyer.
Cool.
He and Jay Cluett do, like they did Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, they're doing Con Air, the podcast. So instead of breaking down my DVD chapter, because there's not enough, they're doing like 3 or 4 minute chunks. So mine will be out, if I'm doing the math right, by the end of the month. I think probably the last Thursday in September. So like we'll retweet it on Too Fast Too Forever on Twitter when it's out. But it was a lot of fun, and I will tease that we compared villains, like the cons in the air, to Fast and Furious villains. Mark had a little game that we played, so check that out at the end of the month. Me and Mark and Jay was a great guy, so we will have him on at some point in the future. Probably not next lap, but the lap after that, because next lap is pretty booked, which you'll find out about in the second half. Speaking of extra pods, you and I did a bonus episode of Reservoir Dogs last night, available to our patrons right now. Not the town.
No, whoops. Shit happens. Hey, man. not even a bad thing. It was just like, you'll hear.
Yes, you will hear if you are a patron at toofast2forever.com. So go there, do that. But the other thing I want to talk about was, so on Saturday I went to a barbecue that one of the guys in my fantasy baseball league threw. He and his wife bought a house a year or two ago, and so this was kind of like a delayed sort of housewarming, first
cool.
barbecue, whatever.
Nice.
So about a third-ish of our fantasy league was there, which was great. So that was a lot of fun. But before that, so I always have like a history as I don't know if...
You're in the championship, so you guys got to like talk shit in person and stuff too, right?
Yeah, so 3 of the 4 semifinalists were there.
Cool.
The guy I was playing was not because he just had a second baby recently, and so that's a whole ordeal. But the guy who hosted it was in the semifinals, and I'm in the semifinals, and the guy he's playing was also there with his wife and their toddler. So, yeah, we got to talk, and I like was watching in real time, like checking my team as like one of my guys hit a grand slam. I'm like, all right, pretty cool.
That is cool, yeah.
I don't know if I've said on here, I don't know if you know, but also it should not come as a surprise based on my personality type that like whenever someone has an event, I'm always kind of accidentally like the first person there. And like I try not to be. Like I try to do like, hey, I'll just show up later, but like I'm always inevitably the first person there.
That's pretty funny.
So when he was like, hey, come anytime after 12:30 or 1, I was like, okay, I'm going to ensure that I don't get there too early by going to see a movie before that will get out of the theater at like 1:30, and I'll get up to his house like 2:15-ish.
Okay.
And it was a movie that I really wanted to see anyway, but I saw this movie Barbarian, which I might have mentioned last week. Mark Hoffmeyer, again, the aforementioned Mark, was raving about it.
Yes, you did.
It is a horror film. I really don't want to say too much about it. It is, people are comparing it to Malignant, which I think you referred to last week as the Backwards Man movie or something.
Yes, the Backwards Man, yes. Do you know that this is from? This is Tom Green too, right?
What's Tom Green?
He like had like a whole, I think it was on his show that he was like the Backwards Man, and he had like a song, he did like a Tom Green thing about it, and there was
like from a while ago,
from like forever ago. And when I saw Malignant and you get to the end, spoilers, I was like, not even spoilers, but like spoilers, I was just like, oh, it's the Backwards Man, like that's what this is. So like that's the only way I remember the name of that movie.
Well, you didn't even remember the name of the movie because we were struggling through.
It's the only way I
thing.
remember the movie.
Sure.
Fair. That's much more appropriate to say. It's the only way I remember the movie. It's the Backwards Man.
Yes. So people are comparing Barbarian to Malignant because it's like the equally what the fuck movie of the year.
Okay. Cool.
The one thing I will say about this movie, I think what works really well about it is that it breaks a lot of rules that I feel like most movies don't often break.
Ooh.
In a way that I feel is really cool. Like there's some stuff about it that like doesn't work for me in certain ways that I don't love, but overall I really, really like the movie a lot. I don't think it's like the transcendent like best movie of a generation like that some people seem to be like rhapsodizing about, but I think it was great. I would say if you like horror movies or like crazy movies or what like that kind of genre thing, I would highly recommend this either in theaters or at home, but like just don't read about it before. If you can avoid spoilers, go in as blind as you can and just know that you're in for a ride, because I think it's great. So
that's cool.
Check out Barbarian.
Dude, I also wanted to say I watched Thor Love and Thunder because it's on Disney Plus now, and like I think that I am really enjoying these Marvel movies late and at home. Like Thor Love and Thunder was actually like, it got terrible reviews.
Oh yeah, it kind of stinks. It's not great.
I mean, we watched it kind of intoxicated at home, and we found it very enjoyable. Like, it was just, like, fun and silly, and, like, we just had a good time watching it. Like, but, yeah, fair. I don't think that it's, like, one of the best Marvel movies at all. But, like, when we watched it pretty fucked up at home, we were like, that was a blast. And that was our take on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I think the issue with the movie that people are having that I had with it is that there's nothing to it. But if you're just looking for, like, pretty colors and handsome people and, like, jokes every once in a while, then, like, that's all. Then it's going to deliver in spades. But if you want, like, a reason to go to the movies and spend $15 or $20 on some, like, expensive ticket, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. No. So, like, I think that I think that where I'm settling, it used to be, like, you had to see the Marvel movies or, like, they would get spoiled for you, kind of. And we're not at that point of this phase yet.
No, correct.
So since it's so early, like watching them at home, like pretty drunk, you're like, oh man, that was fun. Like I probably won't remember like what happened in context. So like when the serious ones start coming out, I'll be like, I have to rewatch all of these. But for now, it's like way more enjoyable than going to the theater and being like, okay.
What I think is funny, like they keep announcing, like they just had, I think, the D23. They had a couple events in the last couple of weeks that they announced some more stuff, and they put together this thing, and I don't remember the name of it because I don't have the, but it's basically like their version of the Suicide Squad. Like it's a bunch of like bad guys who are teaming up to do whatever.
Cool.
And there's like a list of people, like it's Florence Pugh from Black Widow, and also I think her dad maybe from Black. Like there's a bunch of people who like are sort of like anti-heroes or villains or whatever, all teaming up. And in there is Julia Louis-Dreyfus because she's been in a couple things.
Yes.
And so I sent this list to a friend. He's just like, "Oh my god, Julia!" I'm like, "Yeah, she's been in 2 or 3 things already." But like,
and
it's the
in
kind
like
of thing
the
where
end credits for like 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah. Her storyline got really kind of goofed up because of the pandemic. Like things got out of order, so I think they like added scenes or whatever. But I'm like, you kind of gotta watch everything, or otherwise, I guess you can be like pleasantly surprised that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is going to be in this thing. You're like, I didn't even know she was in the franchise. Well, it's like, yeah, she's been in like 2 or 3 series, or like she was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and she also in this team is Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's kid, who was the new quote unquote new Captain America in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Did you watch that series? I don't remember.
Yes, I did. So he was we have Captain America at home.
Yes, remember like the asshole that they like.
Yes. They were making him new Captain America, but nobody really liked him, and then Falcon becomes okay, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, he's on this team. Julia Louis-Dreyfus on this team or whatever. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, hey, yeah, she's been in like 2 or 3 different properties. Just you gotta keep up, man. But I get that it's a lot. So. We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. We'll be giving some updates to the Patreon bonus episodes in the back half of this episode, so stay tuned for that. But if you want early access to episodes, bonus episodes, swag and merchandise, even more of our undying love and affection, toofast2forever.com, please and thank you. We have an email address, family@cageclub.me. And Joe, I've got 4 things to go through, 1 real email and then a couple other things.
Okay, cool.
So number 1, we got an email from YouTube. This has been a long time coming, but we have finally hit the threshold to monetize our videos. So we will probably be earning fractions of a penny with ads. So apologies to Reaction Rocket, anybody who else actually watches this. But I'm just like, if we can get all these boomers who like get mad at us, if we have to make them sit through ads and we get like a fraction of a penny from them, I love it.
Even better. That yes, guys. I'm huge anti-ad proponent. But just bear with us because I think that makes that way funnier. Like if they click on the link that says podcast about 2-lane blacktop, sit through 3 ads for 15 seconds, and then have to comment motor mouse, amazing. So thank you.
I genuinely don't think we're going to earn like any money. Maybe we will. Maybe I don't know, but I don't know what the actual payouts are, but. That was very exciting.
Very exciting.
Because we've had you have to have like 1,000 subscribers, which we did like very quickly. We have like 3,000 or something. Like I don't know who these people are because they don't listen. Like we don't have nearly that many people who actually listen to the show.
No,
I think these are all just people who like robots or people in other countries or just like Fast and Furious cars.
Yep.
Follow.
Cool.
Because they don't watch the videos either. And we also needed 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months, which again, for 1,000 subscribers.
Insane.
And we put out like 2 hours a week or whatever. You would think that if any of these people were real, we would be able to do it pretty quickly, and it didn't because like the average view time is like a minute or
9
under,
months.
right?
Yeah, 9.5 months. Yeah.
So we are finally monetizing there. So congratulations to you, the listener, for helping us get there. I guess I don't know.
Thank you. It's appreciated.
If you want, again, ad free, always on all the podcast feeds. Or just pay for YouTube Premium. But, I don't think it's going to impact anybody negatively other than maybe Reaction Rocket, in which case, apologies to you, sir.
Yes.
Or ma'am. I don't know. Just Reaction Rocket in general. Yeah. Apologize to you.
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube, we got a comment. I don't know what this means. New comment on American Graffiti. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know why they commented. From Shields Luck. So bad that I have to subscribe. Crying, laughing emoji. Are you going to hate listen? I guess.
That's fair. Hey, man, you got to subscribe. That's cool by me. Did you think the episode was that bad? American Graffiti, we had Brian on too. I think it was fun.
I don't know. I don't think Shield's Luck is actually going to listen. I don't know, who
Shield's
knows?
Luck, trust me, we have a lot worse episodes than that one. So keep listening, and I'm sure you'll find.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. I mean, maybe you subscribed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But shout out to you, Shield's Luck. We also got an email from Patreon. Jason Rainey edited their pledge from $5 to $10. So Jason Rainey gets to pick movies for us to watch every lap now.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the art. As always, thanks for just being a fun time listener. And thanks for the up. That's awesome.
In the second half, I will talk about what movie he picked for us. So we'll stay tuned for that. But I was talking to him about that too. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And then the one actual email to read today is from Justin Kleiman, subject line, so close.
What's up, Justin?
I've been so busy this summer, he writes, I can't get an email off, and ever since I went on a 2-week vacation at the beginning of August, I can't get caught up. Well, good news for you is that we're going to be releasing less hours of stuff starting next week, so easier to catch up on, theoretically.
It should be easier to catch up on. Your vacation looked beautiful, and I'm glad everybody seemed to have fun from the pictures that I saw, so awesome. Thanks for checking back in, too.
He says, I've got notes, and I was going to write a big thing, but alas, the temptation to leave work early for a weekend trip, he sent this on Friday afternoon at 3:30, to Winnipeg means it will have to wait. So I'll just end with saying I'm very excited for the news that Leisha inspired you to start up the new podcast, Purge Fast, Purge Forever, the new unofficial Purge podcast, available only on the Cage Club Podcast Network. Well, that's not quite real. Oh!
But it is.
We're doing one episode of it on this feed. It's not a separate feed, though, but yes.
Yes, we are.
And actually, we just got an email 23 minutes ago while we were recording. Maybe just before recording. I'm also going to edit this down. I'm just trying to be like, we're only 20 minutes into the episode. How did we get an email 23 minutes ago? It's whatever. We got it right around the time we started recording. But Jason Rainey sent in a thing for the back half, for the heist team. So he listened last night, so we'll get to that.
Ooh, cool.
In the back half.
Good. I know it was tight timing, so that'll be cool to hear. And like we said it on the Patreon episode. We'll read them later anyways, too, if they come in later.
So we will talk more about that in the back half. But that's all the emails, family@cageclub.me if you want to write in, and we'll read it on the next intro episode, which again, I can't really call it an intro episode because I said this is the last intro, but the next minute episode or something.
Life in the Fast Lane. Yes, Life in the Fast Lane is what you were looking for, bud.
Joe, Too Fast, TooForever.shop for all of our clothing. Did George Pickens not do anything in week 1 because we got no t-shirt sales?
No, he had one reception for like 14 yards.
What a bust.
No, Mitch missed him. He had like 2 dudes completely beat up the sideline, and it would have been like a 90-yard touchdown, but Mitch just like threw it away over him as opposed to trying to actually pass it to him. So, but specifically today, Mitch came out and said, if there's one thing I'm going to try to do in week 2, it's target George Pickens more. So hopefully we sell a bunch of t-shirts after this weekend.
We'll see. Too Fast, TooForever.shop for George Pickens shirts and more. All dumb jokes about you. I'm wearing the Too Fast, Too Forever, the new logo that your friend Dustin made. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dustin's doing great, by the way. He's a Bengals fan. He called me this. He FaceTimed me during the game, like right as it was going to overtime. He was like, "Good luck." It was very, very cute, and we had a good little conversation that we both wished each other luck, and that we were excited for overtime because the game was so good. So, yeah, I just talked to him a couple days ago.
Cool. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. I don't think I've seen anything. Have you seen anything of note for the Fast and Furious franchise in the last week?
Not even adjacent shit. Like, usually I bring up stuff that The Rock or somebody in them did. I haven't seen any of them this week. Oh, The Rock opened Thursday night, opened football last week.
Oh, right, yes. Reaction Rocket quote tweeted, what does this mean? Because the Fast and Furious official account was just get ready for football, basically. And he was like, does this mean there's going to be a new trailer? What do you think? And we're like, I don't know. And
then The Rock
nothing. Not even close. Not even the closest thing was The Rock pushing Black Adam, which doesn't, is even more proof almost that, he's not going to get back. You know what I mean? It was
weird, though. Yeah, it's weird that the Fast and Furious said it. I get that The Rock was there, but with him kind of being on the app, it's weird. I think it's more weird than it could have been. You know what I mean? We're always is The Rock in this? Or this isn't related. But for them to tweet about football is fucking strange, I think.
Yes. Supremely weird. I mean, I know that it's synergy, it's cross promotion.
Sure, yeah.
NBC Universal, hey, we have a predominantly dude-heavy fan base. You might not know that the NFL season starts tonight, so go check it out. Also, vroom vroom.
Yeah, but like The Rock being the one that is like kind of the reason to check it out for feels strange. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but okay, that was the only thing that I saw.
Who knows? But the Fast and the Furious Minute, the Too Fast, Too Furious Minute, minute 75. I was saying before, I don't know if I said before fully, that we have 4 full pages of notes for this minute. This is the wildest minute in a while, just because we are literally food all over the place. Food all over the place.
Good reference, by the way.
Well, the title of the minute is also a reference to the first movie. Minute 75, we got cops, 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 go!
I got Verone's navigator leaving the residence.
Copy. Sir, we've got Verone on the move to the airstrip.
Good. Let's get a bird in the air. Tell him to keep his distance.
Fine, ready to go.
Thanks, Mark.
You're all set.
All set? Yep. Let's do it. Report. What's going on out there?
Team 1 checking in.
Team 2 checking in. Team 3 checking in.
Team 4, all clear here 2. Team 5 checking in. This is Team 6, all clear.
Here we go.
Yeah, so you know what to do. Stay cool, keep focused. Remember, the airstrip's off Knollwood Avenue. It's the third exit after the bridge.
So in this minute, as Carter and Monica leave his residence, all the undercover cops and U.S. Customs officers prepare for action. A cop disguised as a landscaper checks in.
Which I never caught before, by the way. We talked about the landscapers or the gardeners and like how we hadn't seen them in that previous minute. So to have this one be like...
Yeah, I have a note about this that, like, it's funny how much of this movie seems to rely on Roman and Brian, but they have people on his staff that work for the cops. Like, you're already in.
Like, and Monica.
And Monica.
Yeah, so you got Monica and the gardeners. Like, Carter Verone, as much as we thought that he was, like, kind of crazy and, like, one of the better villains in the sense that he's, like, kind of together, right? Like, he's, like, a little unhinged, but he's kind of together. He's really not. Like, he's fucking infiltrated all over.
Swiss cheese defense on his facility.
Apparently, yeah.
Agents Dunn and Bilkins prepare aerial support. U.S. Customs agents and Agent Markham gear up in tactical gear. Undercover agents outside trailers, in cars, on boats, and elsewhere check in. Detective Whitworth, a.k.a. the Rat Cop, looks at a photo of his wife. Meanwhile, Brian and Roman pull into a Cuban restaurant parking lot as the minute ends. The first thing I noticed is that, you know, we have a similar cops gearing up montage in the first movie where they go take down Johnny Tran.
With Brian in there too. Yep.
To Debonair by Dope, which is just such a cool, like, not that, I don't want to trash talk, you know, Getting Ready for Action by David Arnold, but, like, compared, I know it's a different vibe, but Debonair is just such a cool, like, if that came on the radio and I didn't have any affiliation to it, I wouldn't like it, but knowing where it is in the movie, I love that song.
Yes.
And it's just so much cooler than whatever's here.
Yeah, I can agree. This one feels a little bit tamer. Like, I guess that you're gearing up, but, like, it doesn't feel as, like, energetic as the first one, I would say.
And it's like a slower thing, like they're moving in, because that's also not the end action scene, like that's just sort of in the middle, right? Like this is more the gearing up for the final, so it's a different thing. But I looked up a bunch of actors in this minute, which I will talk about. I want to let you go through some of your stuff first, because I spent so much time on this minute, like entirely too much time, but because we didn't have a movie to watch, I'm like, I might as well. But I do want to point out that the subtitles on Amazon Prime Video, remember a couple minutes ago you found Norwood Avenue? The subtitles confirm Knollwood Avenue, Nallwood. So it might not be a real place.
Or the subtitles might be wrong too. Like, it's not like those are hard and fast true. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but it's I don't know. But I'm just saying I'm reporting the facts.
That's okay. Yeah, that's totally fair. Like I said, I thought I was just taking a guess. I have no confirmation. I was just guessing to try to find out where they were.
If Knollwood did not exist, then like there's nothing we could do. So at least we found Norwood, right?
Yes,
and
exactly.
The only thing, and I'll talk about her later, but there's Felicia Raffield as detective.
Yes.
And she is the one in the backyard of the little trailer. Like they got like, you know, slipstream or whatever.
Yeah.
And she is dressed up to the nines. If you remember what she looks like, she's got a jean skirt on.
Yep, I
She's got like
remember.
a thin decorative belt, the red bra under the tank top, pink flower in her hair, the yellow sandals, big gold hoop earrings. And I was just like writing down, like, because, again, I did all the clothing. And I'm like, she is dressed in a way that somebody actually made decisions about her, as opposed to like almost every other outfit in this movie. There's like, it doesn't matter. Like we think about, other than Suki, but you think about in the first movie, like so many of these iconic, like all the Letty outfits and everything in here.
Yeah, true.
There's nothing memorable about these other than Bilkins's funny day off shirt and Suki's outfits. This feels like the first time they're just like, oh yeah, like let's actually like put, because like basically for Ava Mendes, it's just like, hey, how do we make her look hot? Right? Like it's just like,
yeah, it's
what
just
do we
like
make
hot
her, like,
girl clothes
flatter
of the
her?
time. Yeah.
This is just like campy caricature dressing, and I love it. And I just, I didn't realize how kind of boring this was, for how neon soaked Miami is. I didn't realize how boring the outfits were in this movie until this minute, but that's where we are.
I guess we're kind of following around cops too, so like that kind
Boring.
of yeah, exactly.
Before I go into all of the actors, because I have a couple things redacted, as you might have seen, what did you find of note in the minutes in terms of signs, products, cars, models, etc.?
Some of the coolest things is there's a ton of shit in Whitworth's office, but he has some really like goofy, weird stuff. Like he has a little figurine cop that has like an orange head that looks like you could probably bend it, that has his own picture in the face.
I saw that, loved it. Yep.
Yeah, one of the frames is a baseball glove. That's very weird. He has some kind of award on the wall. But the backyard scene that you were just talking about, where you like the clothing, that has a lot of really fucking weird, interesting things in it. That like,
is there a flamingo there or something? Or
there's
no?
a swan planter.
Okay.
There's some planters that look like cows. There's like weird, like a Virgin Mary vase on the table. Like, it's like Virgin Mary in the front, and then they have like flowers in the back of it. There's just like a bunch of weird stuff there. It was really, really interesting to like kind of look around there and try to pick out what's going on. It's, because it's all like behind the screen stuff, so it's not like focused. But it looks to me like that's really the back of someone's trailer, right? Like this could have been like, if one of my hoarder aunts lived in Florida, I'm sure the back of her trailer would look a lot like this, right?
Well, like as I was scrubbing through the Pat McAfee show to look for that claim, I'm just like, oh, it looks like his set. It's just like
desk.
there's just shit everywhere.
Yeah. His set is chaos, but yeah, it's just like like an amalgamation of like things you've just collected from like yard sales and like weird home stores and state fairs or something, right? So It's a lot of weird shit like that. That was cool. There was actually like a couple of them that didn't have anything. And then I found the Cuban restaurant that they finally pull up to at the end of the minute.
Oh, the Versailles restaurant, right? Which is,
yes.
And not that there's any reason that I would, but I don't remember ever seeing that sign before.
Never remember seeing that sign before. It's still open, and I think that in the movie, the sign says 31-year anniversary, and then 2021 was their 50-year anniversary, and it's like updated underneath, like 50th anniversary of like the restaurant. So that's cool. They're still alive. They survived pandemic, which is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, all the pictures, like all the food,
Go ahead.
Look great. Yeah.
All the pictures look great, and the Google Street Maps has like people fucking everywhere. There's literally people all over the place. Like this place must be really good, right? It's been open for 50 years. It survived the pandemic, and it's like slammed in Google Maps. Like, so maybe we need to go to this place.
There's a restaurant near where I grew up called Spain 92, and I'm like, I never knew why it was called Spain 92. Like, it just seemed like a random. And then like this year they're like celebrating our 30th anniversary. I was like, oh, 1992.
No shit.
Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I just, because like when you're driving by when you're a kid, you're like, oh yeah, Spain 92. Okay, sure. Then I'm like, oh, so it took me like 30 something year, or I guess 30 years. I wasn't thinking about when I was 5 or whatever, but like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, you never know. People survive and celebrate anniversaries all the time.
Yes. And then there's a couple other places, but that was cool. I'm glad to see that Versailles restaurant is still open, and I think it's cool that we could actually possibly go there, right?
Sure. When we do our Too Fast tour.
Yeah, the Miami tour.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the food looks great, and I'm amped on this. Like, did I ever tell you this? Like, this is one of the things that Rachel's mom does all the time. Whenever she like travels we would always do best whatever this place, right? Like,
Sure. Yep.
So we would always be like best salad Vancouver, right, or whatever stupid dumb shit. She does oldest restaurant Rome.
Okay.
Especially when you like leave America, like if you find like a restaurant that's been in business for like 200 years, she's like, there's got to be a fucking reason, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So she eats at like all these restaurants. She's like, yeah, it's always like, you know, some tiny place that like serves food, but like it's always awesome because like it's not gonna die. Like if it didn't die in 100 years, then or 50 years like this place, like that's what you get. So, good recommendation. I think I've been stealing her idea since I learned about it.
Anything else of note that you found in this minute?
No, I think that was about it. I think that's about it.
So the annoying thing about this is that almost literally everyone, which, you know, it's like 8 of 9 people are just called detective. Like they're just detective in the credits.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of these people don't have a picture. Like some of them are working actors, some just like were in one thing, like only this or only 3 or 4 things or whatever. So when I watched, the other reason I watched the Amazon Prime to find the subtitles was also to see the X-ray with the Powered by IMDb.
Oh yeah, that's
good.
And
so I found 4 people confirmed, and then 3 that might be in the scene, might not be, but 2 of those that might not be, I have cool stuff about. But Zachary L. Mann is the U.S. Customs lead agent. This is the only thing he's ever acted in. He's the one in the scene with Markham that Markham's talking to. He also did stunts in Transporter 2, which we covered in this podcast, and the Miami Vice movie, which you will see there's a recurring theme here of a lot of these people just sort of being like Miami actors who like are just in productions that shoot there.
Like local actors that like shoot CSI Miami and all of the... Okay, cool.
I also looked up, and Transporter 2 at least partially shot in Miami, so that makes sense there. And this guy was also part of the Marine unit in an episode of Mrs. Maisel, so I don't know exactly what the Marine unit did, but I thought it was kind of cool. Like that's not a credit you see every day, I don't think. So, I mean, it might be something like totally boring and innocuous. It also might be something cool. So I don't know, but shout out to Zachary Mann. Felicia Raffield, who was the woman in the back of the trailer, like we talked about before. Yes. I thought she was in minute 31. There was a woman on a phone. I looked back at minute 31 because I'm like, did I look this woman up? Because I saw her name and I Apple after Control F for the thing. And so we talked about her earlier. The woman from minute 31 is this woman, Tamara Jones, who plays customs technician, which obviously I should have thought of. Clearly, that's who it was on the phone, customs technician, not, detective on phone or whatever.
Damn.
That woman's from House of Cards, Cape Fear, the Bloodline TV series, and this. She was in Rock of Ages, the Tom Cruise movie, and Step Up Revolution, which is not one we covered, but, in the Channing verse, which is kind of cool.
That's cool, yeah.
This woman, if you'll remember from like a year ago or whatever, she passed away a couple years ago, but she was a Miami actor. She had a musical theater degree. She's best known for this. She was in Run, Ronnie, Run, which is the Mr. Show movie. She was in 2 episodes of Miami Vice, again, proving, the whole Miami thing.
Yeah.
Mateo Herreros is a detective. He's the guy on the walkie-talkie in the car. There's Walter Duke Foster, who's the detective on the walkie-talkie in the boat. This is the only movie he's ever been a part of, this guy, Walter Duke Foster, so shout out to him. The more interesting thing to me, though, is the people who might or might not be in this minute.
Okay.
So we got Mark McCauley, who has 143 acting credits and 11 stunt credits. He is credited simply as agent, so I have genuinely no idea who this guy is, where he's from, where in the movie he is, but he was in Miami Vice, both the show and the movie. Passenger 57, Bad Boys, Transporter 2, Edward Scissorhands, Drive Angry, and even from Justin to Kelly, so he's been all over the place.
Jeez, okay.
Tony Bolano, who plays the gardener, he passed away a couple years ago. He was in Miami Vice and Baywatch, and my favorite, this is a very minor thing.
Go ahead.
But he plays drunk guy at urinal in the film Bad Boys, which I feel is a very funny thing to be credited as.
Yes, that's awesome.
The most interesting thing, and I don't know where this guy is in this movie. I don't know if he's in this scene or not. I have no idea. But this guy, Cobette Harper, plays agent. He only has 1 acting credit, which is this movie. But he has like 11 miscellaneous credits. So if you look here, you can see his IMDb. I'm going to send that a link to you because I still have it redacted in the document.
Okay.
But take a look at him and look how he is swole beyond swole. Like this guy is just ripped.
Oh, that's his LinkedIn.
That's his, yeah, because I found his picture. Yeah,
he's huge. Yeah, He's just monstrous. Okay, go ahead. Fitness specialist in Compton. Okay.
So of note here is he was a fitness trainer on this movie, but also Baby Boy. He did security on Four Brothers, so I think, based on nothing but a hunch, this guy is in Tyrese's posse.
Oh, you're so right. It might be like his trainer, to be honest.
Probably, right? Because if he's doing it on a couple different movies or whatever...
And movies that have Tyrese in them, I don't think that that's coincidental at this point, right?
I don't think so. He also did fitness stuff on He Got Game and Starsky and Hutch, so he's done other things that Tyrese was not in, but it feels like with 3 movies over the span of 3 or 4 years,
they were at least
probably
buds or
rolled with
something.
Tyrese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, like, he was one of Tyrese's buddies or trainers, and then Tyrese brought him along, and then he got other work, or he met him on, like, the set of one of them, and was like, oh, this guy's cool, whatever. But either way, yeah, he definitely, like, knew Tyrese.
This, I think, was first, because I think Baby Boy is after. Four Brothers is definitely after.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe he was hired here, then just, stuck around with him. Who knows? But I think it's really cool that, he's known for being this, ripped, fitness instructor, and just palled around with Tyrese for a while. So, shout out to him.
Yeah, very cool.
I don't know if he's in this minute or not. I have no idea. But I clicked on everybody who was detective or agent or whatever and just looked at all of them up because we're kind of running out of room here in terms of introducing new people.
Yeah, it's cool, though. That was cool. That was good. You had a bunch of fun tidbits there. I like that.
Thank you. Now, I have no idea what to ask for the trivia question because there's too much and also not really much of anything. So do you have any ideas for the trivia question?
The only idea I had, and I'm just going to say this, I don't like it, but the only idea I had while watching this was how many teams are there, and 6 teams check in.
We could do that. I think that's fair. I don't know if it's fair, but I think it's doable.
Like, it's like Team 1 here, Team 2 here, or whatever, you know what I mean? And it finishes with, Team 6. That's just, how many total teams check in the thing.
How many teams check in with Detective Whitworth as they prepare to take down Tyrone?
Because I feel like we only see 3. So I think start at 3 and then go to 6, and 6 is the answer.
3, 4, 5, or 6.
Is that cool?
Sure. So minute 75, we got Cops, 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 Go, which is from the first race in the first movie. How many teams check in with Detective Whitworth as they prepare to take down Tyrone? The answer is 6.
That's insane. Cool. Yeah, I'm never going to get that question.
Nope.
But, I mean, there was nothing really else that happened in this minute, right?
For how many notes? That's what's kind of funny to me is that we took literally 4 full pages of notes in terms of things that you notice or whatever.
Yeah.
And nothing happens. I mean, things happen, but it's not anything of significance. It's just people get ready to move around.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about this minute?
These get kind of chaotic when there's 5 different set pieces in 1 minute, but this was a pretty fun one. Although a lot of work, we found a lot of cool stuff, and that was a really full minute of tons of shit that we found and saw, so I'm proud of it.
Cool. Well, let's take a break and let us come back and reflect on lap 11 in this Tune-Up Relap recap.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 256, the Lap 11 Tune-Up Relap Recap. This episode is brought to you by Heights. Heights was started in 1985 in the 700 square foot garage of the company founder Gary Height. Heights has grown over the last 30 years and now occupies a modern 50,000 square foot facility in Lake Zurich, Illinois. Shout out to Heights Hot Rod and Muscle Car Parts.
Well, shout out to them. Can you explain to me why they are the sponsor for this episode?
Yeah, they supply parts for cars, and this is the Tune-Up Relap Recap.
Oh, so theoretically, I know that they reached out to us, but theoretically, if you were looking for them, what would you have searched to find this company?
Perhaps if you searched on Google heist car parts, it would autocorrect to heist car parts.
Oh.
And you'd probably wind up here.
Well, shout out to Heights.
Heidts.
Have that down, yep. So, Joe, this was Lap 11, the Heist Lap. This is our 24th episode, plus our bonus episodes on the Patreon. We've watched a lot of great heist movies. We've had a number of different guests. Is there one movie in particular, either that we've covered for the main feed or the Patreon feed, that you loved, that you were surprised by, that you were, your favorite movie, your favorite episode, or anything? Thoughts, memories about the Lap? Hit us with whatever.
I really like heist movies. I had a good time watching this. I'm glad that, there was a bunch of heist movies that we hadn't seen before. You picked that were, classic ones that I really like. I think memorable ones are, Hot Rock. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Heat was obviously incredible. That's how we started out. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot I liked a lot, too. That was a cool movie. It has two cars that my dad has both of the cars in the same fucking movie. Weird situation. But just overall... Oh, and what was the one with Ice Chip? That one was fun, too.
Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves was a great movie. So, just down the line, I think you picked great ones. I'm glad I got to round out some of the gaps that I had in my heist film repertoire. Overall, kind of, watching them all together, some of it starts to blend, but I do have ones that stand out to me and that were fun. Did you have a favorite or anything like that?
Well, the greatest heist of all is Lucky Number 11, of course.
Absolutely, of course.
I really liked a lot of the movies. I mean, obviously watching Heat again was great. It's always nice to have a reason to watch Heat.
Yes.
Point Break was great. Thunderbolt
yeah.
Lightfoot, I was glad that Justin had us to recommend. Thief was a lot of fun.
Thief was great.
After we did Heat. Muppets Most Wanted was fun and silly, which I enjoyed that.
And
Hot Rock, like you said, was great.
We do Thief, and then, Michael Mann dies, right?
Michael Mann didn't die.
No, which one? Didn't he?
No, Michael Mann's still alive. He just wrote a book.
Who was he just mad about someone dying then?
Michael Mann was mad that somebody died?
Yeah. No, somebody... One of his... Who was it? Maybe... Henry Hill? Or Ray Liotta? And somebody was like, Ray Liotta just died or something. He was like, stop being a fucking rat or something. Remember this? We were talking about it. That's why I thought Michael Mann died. Sorry.
No, James Caan did that.
Yes, James Caan. That's right. Did James Caan die?
James Caan died.
Was James Caan in Thief?
Yes.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
No, when Ray Liotta died, someone was like,
Yes.
He said something, someone responded, he just act basically grow up or whatever, end of tweet or whatever, one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we did Thief, and then James Caan dies this year. That's crazy.
Yes.
It was it was pretty much right after. That's weird.
Hot Rock was great. Logan Lucky I love. No Man's Land was fun. Catch That Kid, not really thrilled about that. It was, it was fine, whatever. Shout out to Brian for picking that.
Oh, it's silly, though. I mean, I always take silly movies to Brian's to camp, too. So, yeah, that was fun.
Hell or High Water was a lot of fun. I loved watching that again. Inside Man was good. And Reservoir Dogs was great. So all these movies, almost all the movies, I loved. Some I was not super crazy about, but I was glad that I watched them all because they were all fun episodes. But the one thing we've been doing all lap long is each episode, you and me and a guest, when applicable, have been picking who would be the member of the heist team
yes.
that we would build without really knowing.
Yes.
So we teased this last night on the Reservoir Dogs episode. And if you want to play along, you can email in and we'll read it on a future episode.
Yeah.
But we are building a heist team. We've been sort of teasing this without really a plan in mind. But we're putting together a team of 6 members at most. You can have fewer, you can have people double up. But a team made of the getaway driver, muscle, crowd control, wild card, financier, and mastermind. And so these 6 roles, we each have about, 25 or so heist people that we could do.
Yeah.
You also had the idea to do the Lufthansa heist from Goodfellas, which I was reading about that heist, and it's hard. There's not really sort of specifically defined roles. There's people who
but you can kind of see, right?
Sure, for sure. I wanted to do something more specific to that, but I couldn't really. So I just sort of filled in the 6 roles. But were you able to sort of fill out the Lufthansa, or you just do the 6 roles? What'd you wind up doing?
I filled out the 6 roles just with the idea of the Lufthansa heist in the back of my head, knowing how this is going to go, or what needs to be accomplished, the highlight, the notes that we need to hit to perform this heist. So it wasn't specifically tailored to the Lufthansa heist. It wasn't specifically tailored to the the roles, it was kind of a blend of both, where I was like, oh, I'll pick the best person for this role or the best person that I know that I need for the heist type situation. I think if I would have picked straight on roles alone, I would have probably picked the same people anyways.
Yeah, like I think, we didn't really talk about it, but like as I was thinking about, I was just like walking around my neighborhood, like on my nightly walk or whatever. I'm just like, what can we do? And I'm like, there's a lot of different variations, but I think that's what's cool about the heist. And as we talked about in each episode as we went on, it's like, what does this movie do differently? Because like a heist itself is pretty much the same every time, right? Like there's the same kind of archetypes, the same kind of roles, like you're still doing a thing.
Yeah.
But like what makes a movie great or boring is if it's able to or not twist the theme or twist the roles or whatever. And so like these are just kind of like the 6 biggest archetypes, right? So do you want to alternate, or how do you want to do this? Because we each have a team of the people that we picked. I said on the Reservoir Dogs Patreon bonus episode, but your pick of Queenie last episode for F9 was the patron pick for that. So Queenie was the overwhelming fan favorite there. So shout out to you for that one. But how do you want to do this? How do you want to present these?
I think we should go by role and talk about who we picked for each role. And then just at the end kind of talk about like how we think the heist would go, or like what our plan is.
What role do you want to start with?
Just go down the list.
Getaway driver?
Yeah, getaway driver. Who'd you take?
I have an alternate for both, because I came up with my team and I'm like, oh, it's all dudes. And I wish I didn't have all dudes, but it was all dudes. And I was like, So I have a couple alternates for women.
That's so funny, because you were like, I'm trying to add women to my heist team the whole time, and then I actually have 2 women in my team. So go ahead, continue on.
My getaway driver is Han from Tokyo Drift, with my alternate being Letty from the first movie. But I think Han, in terms of the drivers, like weirdly for a podcast about cars and drivers, like I don't have a ton of great drivers, I don't think, like other than, every single one of the Fast and Furious people that I took is also like, a world-class driver or whatever. But I think Han's ability and everything in Tokyo Drift would fit in nicely as the getaway driver. So I have Han from Tokyo Drift as my getaway driver.
Sounds good. I think that's a good pick, because you know that Tokyo Drift takes place after 6, so like everything that he, auto-manced up until then counts, so that's cool. I took Dom from F6, because he can drive a car, anchor one, throw it off a bridge, jump across the bridge. I think that at that point he's pretty much peak driver. Nobody can beat him ever, so I can't pick anybody better than Dom.
I think that's interesting. Like, I think that the thing with Dom, like, what movie did I pick Dom from? The 4th Fast and Furious movie. So I could have done that. Dom's not even on my team. But Dom, I feel like, could fit anywhere. Like, he's kind of the, like, in the, like, classic...
Oh, yeah, he could be muscle, he could be crowd control, he could be wild card, he could be mastermind. I agree. And I was like, cool, I want him on my team, and, like, and I will assign him the role as driver, knowing that that's probably his also best ability of the abilities, right?
I think so. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was just about to say that, like, in the classic, like, video game sense, or like the NES hockey especially, if there's either like the all-around guy or the skinny fast guy or the fat slow guy.
Yep.
And he's kind of the, like, all-around guy where he's, like, not necessarily the best at any one thing, but also, like, really good at everything.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of fit in anywhere. I don't think of him primarily as a driver. I think of him more as, like,
everybody
a leader.
else. He beats everybody else in the street race. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
true.
every race that anybody races against him, even the family, loses to Dom. Like, they
unless he chooses to lose to Brian in Rio.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So the muscle, who'd you have for muscle?
For muscle, based on who I had on my team, I really didn't have a ton of muscle that I wanted to add to this heist. But I realized I did have Deckard Shaw from Hobbs & Shaw. So I made him my muscle because I think, he's like a super marine or whatever. Like, he fights everyone hand to hand and with weapons. Like, he's pretty good muscle. Can use any weapon type situation. So
sure.
Deckard could hold it down in any number of ways of fighting.
I would agree. I went with Chris Shiherlis, Val Kilmer from Heat. I think he is kind of an enforcer. I think he's one that I have a lot of people who kind of could be muscle, but they're all like, I don't have like a real bruiser. I think he's the closest thing I have to like a pure like actual just enforcer.
That's what I was
my backup was Dalton Russell, Clive Owen from Inside Man. But he's more like more brainy, I think, than muscle.
I agree.
I'm happy with my Chris Shiherlis, Val Kilmer pick though, because you wound up going with De Niro from Heat, right?
Yes, I took De Niro from Heat.
Right. So I have Val Kilmer. So I think I would imagine that De Niro's probably your mastermind, but we'll get there in a second. For crowd control, I did Bodhi, Patrick Swayze from Point Break.
That's good, and I actually almost took Patrick Swayze from Point Break as one of my heist team members, but he's just a little uncorked. So I went with Letty.
Well, the crowd control also just Letty I think is a good choice here, but crowd control we were talking about the Reservoir Dogs episode for people who did not hear that one. It could kind of be any number of different things, like either like the leader, like someone who's like keeping the crowd calm or quiet, or like you were saying, like a Roman in Furious 7 singing to the crowd, like however you want people to like interact and, keep the crowd do whatever they want. So kind of like, Clive Owen, I think from Inside Man also works there too. So Bodhi maybe a little uncorked, but I also, I think he would also fit there. But
be amusing entertainment. I think so.
For sure.
Like I think that he could, and he robs banks and did crowd control in the literal sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's fun enough and handsome enough that he could be crowd control.
Plus, if it's an outdoor heist, he can just surf on the water and keep everybody entertained that way.
Take a shirt off, yeah.
What Letty did you pick? Which Letty movie did you pick?
Letty from Furious 7. So in that one, that's when they have a party, and she comes in a very beautiful dress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's appropriate. She could do crowd control like as someone that's like distracting. But I think also just that Letty has a calm presence and doesn't crack under pressure. So like if it was like we have to hold down hostages with guns, she would be fine there too. So that's why I thought it was kind of a double, you know what I mean? Like you get both sides of that. So yeah, I picked Letty from F7 for my crowd control.
My backup for that one was Toby Howard, the Chris Pine character from Hell or High Water, which I think is another kind of even more even-headed, even-keeled, level-headed kind of person than Bodhi. But
I agree.
Wild card. Who'd you have for wild card?
Ooh.
And this is just like whatever, if you think there's somebody else on your team that like provides something that the other ones don't, or just need a little bit of flash or pizzazz or whatever. Who'd you have for wild card?
So, based on how my team was going when I got to wild card, I was like, oh, I could put anybody here. This will be really fun. But I was like, there's one answer. It's Brian from Fast and Furious, F4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I already have Dom and Letty and Deckard Shaw, adding Brian, what?
I like that, like, all along, especially in the first episode with me and Jordan, you're like, fuck, good vibes, like, who cares about team chemistry? And you're just building the family. Like, you're just winding up with the family, which is, like, built-in inherent chemistry. So, like, the thing that you sort of discarded in just, like, your ruthless mercenary thing, you wound up backing into anyway.
Kind of.
I think it's just funny that, like, your team probably has better chemistry than mine, even though, like, I built for chemistry, basically.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So.
But yeah, so I was like, okay, so you add Brian to it. But I think also, generally, Brian's, like, a great wild card, right? Like, he can kind of do everything. He's, like, precision driver. He was formerly a cop, knows all about weaponry. He's one of the smartest guys. He can be a leader. Pretty much down the line, he fills in everything. So I was like, yeah, he's... Like, for me, wild cards should be, like, Dom or Brian, right? And I was like, I already had Dom, so...
Yeah,
what about you? Who'd you pick for wild card?
I'm actually going to flip it up. I'm going to add it. So I originally had Leo and Santos here from Fast 5, because I feel like they're the wild card. Like, they're literal wild cards, like, bomb, shit work, whatever. But I think I'm going to take instead my actual wild card in terms of more skills, because I think this person could do explosive works, as we see in the movie that I picked them from. I'm going to take Hattie Shaw from Hobbs and Shaw.
Ooh.
I think that she is
great wild
the most
card.
Skilled person on my team at all. And she is able to do whatever needs to get done to, whether it's rig explosive, like she like lines her apartment with the grenades.
Oh yeah.
Or inject herself with the virus.
She can hand-to-hand fight. She fights the Rock. This is a great pick. I agree.
She's smart. She's beautiful.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. Can be a chameleon. Could be crowd control. Anything. Anything you need. Yep.
Financier. I really only had one option. I don't know if you had any. Like, this is not one that we.
I had two options
for, but I picked Mr. Nobody from Furious 7 just because I feel like he, of all the movies we watch, he potentially has the most money available to him. Even though we don't know anything about him, just feels like maybe he has the most money available to him. So. Yeah.
Access to resources, which I think is pretty much all you need as a financier. Doesn't need to be liquid. He has access to resources.
And Mr. Nobody, we said for both the financier and the mastermind, they don't necessarily need to be at the heist. They can just kind of be like behind the scenes or whatever. And like, he would not be wherever we're doing this heist. He's not there, but he would be the one who like gives the team what they need.
I agree. I actually, in my pick, I had two people and I was teetering back and forth between the two, but looking how my heist team was laying out, I was going to go Uncle Kamada because I do have him on my heist team.
Oh, sure. Yes. Okay. That's a good pick. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I ultimately went Queenie because if I have Deckard Shaw on my team, having his mom be the financier, good incentive. She pretty much knows all the rest of them. So I think that Queenie will be my financier. Like, we don't, again, she's another one, right? Like, we don't really know how much money she has.
Yeah, but we come to believe that she has enough.
Resources yes. And connections, right? So, like, she can get a lot of stuff. Like, so when she steals the diamond necklace from the place in 9, it's not because she needs money. It's just because she's, like, just stealing, right?
Correct, yeah. She just, for the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the heist, whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think that she would be a good financier.
Now, Joe, the mastermind, again, not necessarily the heist, even though I think mine might be. Who is in charge? Who's the one who planned everything out? Who mapped out this heist from start to finish?
Easiest one ever. De Niro from Heat.
Oh, sure. Yeah, okay.
I can see that although I did build a very chemistry-driven team, that I think De Niro would fit, and being a mastermind doesn't really affect that, right? Because he's just like, oh, like, here, I got a job for you. He's kind of like the Mr. Nobody. Like, Mr. Nobody calls them all in and is like, I need you to accomplish X, and they all just kind of, like, do it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that he would be a good master. And now that you pick Mr. Nobody as the financier, who'd you pick for your mastermind?
Well, my alternate was Constantine from Muppets Most Wanted, because I feel like he's the dastardliest one that we ever had. But the one I went with is the guy who pulled one over on everyone involved on both sides of the heist. I went with Ice Chip, Donnie O'Shea Jackson Jr. from Den of Thieves, because he was able to create a heist that not only fooled the cops, but also fooled the criminals.
So, I wanted to add him to my team so bad, but I didn't want to have to deal with the possibility he double crosses me at the end of the heist.
Yeah, I feel
like
what
I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
Not in a bad way. Like, I think that he's probably one of the most capable people, and yes, I love Ice Chip, but I was scared if you give him a role that's too... You can't give him a role that's too low, because although he, like, does do the things... What does he do? Like, he, like, shows up as, like, the delivery guy and, like, hides in the thing, right? Like, they give him, like, a pretty, like, meaningless task. Like, it's substantial, but at the same time, it, like, doesn't require a lot of, like, ability. And turns out that he's the mastermind, so if you give him too much power, he double crosses. So, like, I didn't have a good fit for where I could put him in.
Well, the thing with the mastermind is, like, I don't even know if he's going to be there. And if he, you know, we didn't say that, like, everybody has to leave the heist happy, just, like, get it done. And I feel like, of the people I had available to me, he was the one that was most likely to come up with a plan to fool everyone.
That's fair. That makes a lot of sense. I get it, yeah.
I'm going to do a Mark Hoffmeyer, again, name coming up again, esque poll on Twitter, which of us came up with the better heist team.
Ooh.
So I will put that up in, you know, later this week after this episode's out and people have had a time to listen and react and respond. But I do want to read, because I've not read yet because it came in while we were recording, but email from Jason Rainey teasing the intro, Lufthansa, I hardly know her. So Jason also tweeted at us this week that he finally caught up on the show. So
Congrats,
it's
Jason.
really, really cool that he caught up on the show and was able to listen to the most recent episode and was like, oh, I can email him like the only timely thing we've ever really done. He was able to do, so that's really cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. I'm curious to hear what he says.
He says, just writing to give you guys my heist team for the end of the lap draft. This was a fun challenge, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you and other folks come up with. Anyway, here's my nutty idea. He says, I'm assuming I should stick to the winners of the Patreon polls for my draft. Even if not, I'm giving myself that restriction because it's more convenient.
Okay, cool.
I decided to focus on one aspect of the Lufthansa heist. In 1975, most of our available crew isn't even alive. I'm not saying this to be pedantic. I'm all for a multiverse or alternate universe situations, but I think this gives me the opportunity to indulge in a trope rumored to soon be part of the Fast and Furious series, time travel.
Oh, okay.
Presenting the mastermind, Ramsey from Furious 7. Ramsey in this film isn't tied to the family yet, so she indulges her own curiosities instead of focusing her skills on helping Dom's crew. It's easier for me to see her stumbling on the ideas that would make time travel possible, and the tech know how to make it work. She studies lost treasures, finds out about the Lufthansa heist, where the money was never found or recovered. It's a perfect time crime.
I love it. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. I like this. Okay, keep going. This is fun.
The financier is your alternate Uncle Kamada from Tokyo Drift. He's a Yakuza bigwig and likely has connections throughout Japan, a country known for its electronics, so maybe we can get Ramsey the best parts for her time machine. Maybe
cool.
Ramsey's plan seems too crazy to be a simple gangster, but she can use her time travel prototype to meet him in the past, give him some tips on how to make the right connections, and make his way up the ranks of the Yakuza. When she meets him again, he's more willing to bankroll this crazy scheme.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, there you go. Time loop already. I like it.
The Muscle was your pick, but from a different movie, Deckard Shaw from The Fate of the Furious. The 1970s will be unfamiliar territory for most of the team, so I think it helps to have a muscle boy with military experience. Besides giving our team some technical know-how, he's trained to deal with unfamiliar situations. By the end of Fate, he's more willing to work with the family, and having gone toe-to-toe with Hobbs on a couple occasions, I think he can handle whatever 1975 will throw at him.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Crowd control, he went with my guy, Bodhi from Point Break. This is back when I was doing the, by the end I was just like, people don't really want to vote on these, I'm just going to do the Fast and Furious movies, but I did early on, because I was early enough that I did Bodhi. Said, like I said, I don't mind multiverse situations. I think Bodhi would complement Deckard's tactics and muscle by having extensive heist experience and a knack for getting people to work as a unit. If a crowd needs controlling, he's ruthless enough to use force, but has the guru charm to keep them cool and maybe even get them to sympathize with their aims. With all of his skydiving experience, he surely knows his way around an airport.
That's true. That's very, very true. And planes, that's a big plus that I didn't factor in. Good job, Jason. I think that's a very smart pick.
Although for planes, Deckard, Fate of the Furious, Chipmunks on a plane, right?
Also true, yeah. But I mean, having two guys running through a hangar that know about planes and shit,
for sure,
is very helpful.
Also, Deckard eats dinner in Furious 7 in maybe a warehouse or a hangar or something, right? So
yeah, maybe.
You know, whether they want to eat or listen to Chipmunks, they're good. Wild card, Frank from Thief. That's James Caan. He isn't such a wild character, but since the Lufthansa millions are in a double-door vault, according to Wiki, they'll need someone who can crack it with stealth and speed. Not only does Frank have the goods, but since he was operating in the late 70s, he can help the rest of the team with blend in, do recon, etc.
Makes sense, yeah.
The final team member, Letty, from the first movie, The Fast and the Furious. Even if she's not as skilled as her future self, I think out of all the Patreon picks, this Letty is the most potent driving chops. I bet she could get a Ford Econoline under a semi-trailer if she needed to, and she wouldn't forget to get rid of the car in the morning.
Amen. Yes, that's a big, big plus. Yes.
That's my team, he says. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Do you think your teams can compete? Ejecto Cedo Cuzzes, take care, Jason.
I do. I think that we all have like. I think that this would go. I think that these would go vastly different.
If they're all taking, I mean, probably. I think of the three teams, we would know how yours plays out the most evidently, because we've seen more movies with your characters.
Yes, I agree. And that's fair. It would play out like a Fast and the Furious movie, for sure.
I feel like mine would play out like a 90s movie, because I got Heat and Point Break, and Den of Thieves, which is kind of flashing back to Heat, sort of. It just like it feels like it's a different kind of era. And then it feels like Jason's is more like a 70s kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though he has like some similar characters, and I like the time travel thing that he just like actually sends them back in time, as opposed to like that you just pluck them and they exist type situation.
Love it. It's great. So I'm going to add Jason's to the Patreon or the Twitter poll too. So
cool. Very cool.
Vote, and we'll report back the winner on the next episode or whatever. So. Cool. Thank you, Jason. I'm glad that you could listen. It was a tall order for people to be like, hey, here's a thing that you didn't know was coming tonight. Do you have an hour and 10 minutes to listen to this? And also, do you want to do homework? Do you want homework in the next 18 hours or whatever? But Jason got it in, so shout out to him.
But like going over the heist then, I think that we all have people that can drive, right? I think that none of them would like leave the car.
Well, that's the other thing that we're picking the best of the best, and even we're in each movie we're picking the best member, and then from those best members we're picking the even better best members. So theoretically, people wouldn't screw up.
Yeah, I think that
we don't have like a Wayne Grow from Heat or something in the situation.
Yeah. Like anybody that's gonna like really like not fail on their job, right? Like it's gonna be like, oh, unless there's some kind of like weird twist chaos, they're pretty much just gonna get this done.
I also do love that after you argue with me and Jordan for 25 minutes about how Vince is the right member, like Vince isn't even on the team. Like,
well, I would.
He's not like the whole first movie is like underleveled, underpowered.
Underleveled, underpowered. I thought that you could use him for like muscle, but if I have like Vince or Deckard Shaw from Hobbs and Shaw, like which muscle are you gonna take, right?
Yeah, Deckard Shaw, like the person who is like CIA blacklist, blah blah blah, killed all these different people, whatever.
Uses every weapon, every combat method, whatever. Got out of a plane. Like, okay, yeah, of course. I mean, overall, I think that like my team, the full team, would probably be able to accomplish anything. It would be like a Reservoir Dogs situation, you know? Like, if this is my Rolodex, and I'm like, I need a Mr. Pink, I need a Mr. Purple, I need a Mr. White, Mr. Blonde. Like, I could fill out rosters to do a lot of different things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about the team picking or lap 11, or should we move on to lap 12?
I think we should move on to lap 12.
Cool. Well, so lap 11 was the heist lap. Lap 12, we are going to a sort of a throwback thing to a type of lap we've done a couple other times before.
Ooh.
This one is a long time coming. Lap 12, we are doing the Dominic Toretto Vin Diesel lap, the films of Mr. Vin Diesel. Mark Sinclair. Every episode is just about one of his songs.
Or him
Love
dancing.
Me Like You Do. No, that's Nelly Goulding. But yes, it's either him dancing or him singing. Okay, so the other thing is that this is going to be a super long lap. Not only because we changed the format and now instead of a 2-week cycle, it's a 3-week cycle, but because this lap leads into... This is how my weird brain won't abide by this weirdness. But it leads into Fast 10. I'm like, oh, we could do like a mini, like season 13 or lap 13 can just be like the Fast 10 lap. But then like we would have lap 14 be our 13th view of movies. I'm like, I don't want that. So we're going to add the Fast X. So like this lap theoretically is going to run from September 27th through June. Like this is like a 9-month long lap, possibly.
It's like a pregnancy. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna gestate a baby of movies.
We
of
are.
Vin Diesel.
We
a
are.
baby Vin in this lap.
I wonder what Baby Vin was like, but I have no
Bald,
idea.
for sure.
Just yeah, very true.
Probably strong. Probably a good dancer.
Probably, yeah. Hungry.
So as a reminder out there, we are going to mix it up. They're going to be no more intro back half. We're going to do just like, in theory, 75-ish minute episodes weekly. And we're going to go between Fast and Furious movies, pit stops, and Life in the Fast Lane. So next week will be the Fast and the Furious. And I will just announce right now, our first pit stop is maybe your favorite non-Fast and Furious Vin Diesel movie, Boiler Room. Do you think that's fair to say?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I fucking love that movie. Do you like this movie? Have you seen it? Have you seen it recently?
I saw it once. You picked it for Film Club a while back when we did like Bros or something, or Finance, or I don't remember what we did, but I watched it. Because this is another one that when Mike and I, for about 6 weeks, were going to do the Ben Affleck podcast.
Yes.
I bought like 8 of his movies, and this was one of the ones I bought. And then within the span of like 36 hours, he got accused of like 3 different Me Too things. And we're like,
dude, you have like as much as we are, when we played the Twitter game that we got people blocked, you were on like a great run of like getting people canceled by trying to do a podcast about their movies.
Wait, who? Oh, well, Shia.
You had Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck. There was somebody else too. There was somebody else that it was like maybe Spacey.
No, well, I mean, we were never going to do. We never had plans for Casey Affleck or a Spacey podcast, but Ben Affleck was. It was just like, ooh.
Yeah, I feel like there was a couple more, like one more at least, maybe 2, but I forget.
We've had so many different ideas for podcasts. Like we've made album art. I've laid out things. You and I were like, we were up to our elbows in Idris for a little while, and we're like, we can't do this. Let's just double down on Too Fast. But I also like it's less. impactful here because we don't have as wide of a field of movies to pick from, but I like to put like one of your favorite movies first so I can do like real pretentious arty bullshit later in the lap. But I'm like, hey, here's a sweet candy bar up front, but
exactly.
We don't have a ton of things to pick from. So I mean, not that there's great stuff, but it's not like we have like all of the history of heist films or whatever. It's just
I'm very, very excited that we'll get to do like Pitch Black, Triple X, all those ones, because like I know I say this all the time, but like I purposely now been avoiding those movies waiting for this lap.
Yeah, I think the only one of those that I've avoided since we did the podcast is the first two Triple X movies, and he's not even in the second one. Like, I saw the third one in theaters, I've never seen the first one, but like I've seen all the Pitch Black movies, I've seen all the Riddick movies, so like I think the only thing that I've been avoiding knowing we'd eventually cover it is the first Triple X, which we're going to do pretty early in the lap, but I'm right there with you. Like, I've never seen that one. I don't know why I've never seen it, but, I never saw these for a while either, right? So
exactly, yeah. So like, but like I've never seen any of the Riddicks, any of the Triple X's, any of the Pitch Blacks. So I'm in.
Mixed quality, I will say.
I'm
but
sure
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, one of my
I'm also guessing I'm
coworkers-
gonna like them all more now that we're this far invested.
I agree, and one of my coworkers was like real hyped for us to cover these. He was talking to me about it, and he was like so amped. He's like, "Have you never seen any of these like weird Vin Diesel movies?" It's like, "No, dude, I was saving them." So
soon
it'll be
you
fun
will
to talk about. Yeah.
I will announce, though, I do want to announce, because this is like an enticement for people to maybe join the Patreon. Give us your money, please. But the way that we're doing it now for the patrons is that the patron picks, the $10 a month people, everybody on the Patreon gets access to every episode. Only the $10 a month and above get to pick episodes. But even if you're
Yes.
$1 a month, you get access. You get
Yep.
to listen to all these the day they come out.
Yep.
But the $10 a month people all get to pick one movie now every lap. The thing is that they're all going to be behind the paywall. So the way that I'm just going to do it, just to keep things fair, is the quicker you send it in, we're just going to do that in that order. And basically the way that I'm going to have it, I think, map out, depending on schedules or whatever, is the week there is a Life in the Fast Lane, like the intro type episode.
Yeah.
We'll also do a Patreon bonus episode that same week. So there'll always be like a movie to talk about. But here are the movies in order that we are going to go through. I think you know some of these. I don't think you know all these. So are you ready for yourself too?
I'm ready. Yeah. Give it to me.
So the first one up is the one that we picked, and this is a part of a 3-episode super crossover extravaganza. We are covering Triple X 2. Do you know who stars in Triple X 2?
No, who?
Do you want to know, or do you want to be a surprise?
Tell me who stars in it. That's fine.
He is the father of an ice chip.
Oh, really? Ice Cube?
Yeah, Ice Cube.
I got an
was the
Ice
star of
Cube
Triple X
t-shirt
2.
on right now.
Well, today was a good day because you found out that Triple X 2 stars Ice Cube.
Yes, it is.
We're doing that, and then we are doing Haley's pick. So this is going to be a thing that I mean, she has every right to change it, but I think her plan, basically for the next, 30 laps, is to get us to finish Magic Mike's. So she is going to do Dear John, which is the next Channing movie we're going to cover. So I think, unless she has a different plan for the future, her idea was just she said to me something like, every Patreon pick that I'm going to have is going to be a Channing movie. So Dear John coming up next. That's the next
fun,
one.
and we can play all the the Channing games too.
And those I'm also going to release on the Magic Mike's feed. I mean, it's going to be like the weirdest, once every 7 months release structure or whatever. So people over there might get annoyed. But we're going to do, it's basically going to be an episode of Magic Mike's behind the paywall here. Or if you want to listen over there, whatever. But shout out to Haley for keeping that podcast alive through the skin of for $10 a month.
That's really cool. I like that. Okay.
Then up next is Lane Middleton's pick, The Wraith from 1986, starring Charlie Sheen.
Ooh.
Crazy movie.
I've never seen
Really
it.
much looking forward to it.
Cool.
Then after that is Alex Ellen's pick, which we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, Super Fast, the Fast and Furious parody bullshit movie.
Which I've seen, and it is bad.
And I have not.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Okay.
After that is Michael McGann's pick of Ralph Breaks the Internet, which we also talked about last week or 2 weeks ago.
Incredible, and I'm so stoked on. I love Wreck-It Ralph movies, so.
Then Justin Kliman's pick, which we mentioned, I think, last week and also in the intro here, The First Purge, not the First Purge movie, but the movie called The First Purge from 2018.
Yes.
In our Purge Fast, Purge Forever, or whatever the name of that podcast is. Then Jason Rainey. So we have a couple others that we're waiting on, notably Brian Late Night Slumber Party Rodriguez and a couple other people. But Jason Rainey sent in, this is a movie, I did not realize until I really looked at his letterbox that, Jason has probably seen as many movies as I have, which is,
insane. Yeah.
insane.
That's a ton.
He's sending in a movie that I had never heard of. It's a Japanese movie from the 1970s
Okay.
called Truck Rascals 5, Ichibanboshi the Brave, which I think there's like a whole bunch of different titles of this.
That sounds incredible. I think 5 is a good entry point to movies, too. I mean, like, we know with the Fast and the Furious, 5 is probably the perfect one to start with.
I would agree. So I was talking to Jason about this, and the original title, he said it depends on the translation, but it's also sometimes called Truck Yarrow 5, Truckster of Guts.
Ooh.
So, even better name. He says it's part of a series of Japanese movies about two truckers who get into misadventures. He says each movie is pretty self-contained, so you don't need to worry about number 5. And Yarrow, he says, is sometimes translated as guys, rascals, or bastards.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. He also said that the trucks in this case are semi-trucks, which I imagine run on some kind of diesel, or run on diesel, so it's sort of related to the Vin Diesel app. So it's like, you don't have to do that, but cool, I get it.
It makes sense, yeah, I get it.
So those are the ones that we have right now, in addition to the pit stops this lap. So we have a lot of things coming up, and then we're going to lead up to Fast 10, Fast X, however you pronounce it, and we'll do that at the end of the lap. But we got a lot of good stuff here, which I'm very excited about. I do think that the podcast is going to get better with the new format.
Yes.
And we got a lot of good stuff behind the paywall, too. So if you have not joined the Patreon, really, even $1 a month gets you a new episode every month. Or this is actually probably going to be a little bit more, like, this is every 3 weeks there's a bonus episode, so...
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really, really stoked for the new format. Like, really, really stoked for the new format. And I really liked that everybody picked, like, completely different movies. This is fun. You know what I mean? Letting them go outside the theme, like, now, like, it's just Wild West out there in a great way. Like, they're all, I think, good picks and stuff that I'm excited to see, too.
And I will also say, again, it doesn't have to be a movie. It can be TV or it can be anything else. Like Wes was talking to us and he's just like, I kind of want to make you, I kind of want to up my pledge and pick something, but I don't know what I would want to pick. So I haven't done it yet. I'm like, you could also like pick a video game and have us play a video game. Like, I don't know if that would be good. I don't know if it'd be fun for us to talk about, but it could be. Like anything that would basically take 2 hours to do,
yeah, we
can do. So we're open to suggestions. We're open to ideas, conversation, whatever. TooFast2Forever.com. We got one more thing to say, though, and you're looking at the runtime for this episode. You're like, it sounds like they're done, but there's another 4 hours of this episode. I have no idea. Who knows? Probably half an hour. Probably 40 minutes. Who knows?
Yeah.
But all lap long, next lap, we're going to be joined by someone very special, very near and dear to our hearts. Joe, when I think about the people I know who are most like Vin Diesel, only one name really comes to mind.
And it's...
Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Mon-TEZ. So Montez has not seen many of these movies, I don't think. I think when we started this podcast, she had seen none of them. She didn't even really want to listen to the podcast because she hated the movies. I think since then she's seen at least a couple, but we're going to talk to her now about what she's seen, what she's hoping for, what she's worried about, do the character quiz, all that sort of stuff. So let's take another quick break and come back with Ms. Montez, Gabriella Montez, and talk to her about this 9-month-long endeavor or whatever they're going to make her sit through. And then she's on the hook forever in terms of every time a new movie comes out, she's got to come back and watch that too. So, ride or die, remember?
And probably come see them with us, right?
If she wants to drive up from where she's not exactly close, but she's obviously welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
More than welcome to join us. So, Joe, let's take another break in almost unprecedented second break and bring in Montez to talk about lap 12, our own mini Vin Diesel.
Back again to episode number 256 of Too Fast, Too Forever. This episode is the Tune-Up Relap Recap brought to you by Heights, one of the most experienced sales and engineering staffs in the industry, always ready to serve you. Shout out to Heights, hot rod, muscle, and car parts.
Well, shout out to Heights, and well, look who we have here, the world's biggest Fast and Furious fan, the friend of ours most like Vin Diesel, Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Hi, Montez.
How's it going?
You know that we say your name like that in every episode. Do you listen to the show anymore or no? I know you're incredibly busy.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
I caught up. I mean, I committed 8 hours a day for weeks.
Now, this was like 2 years ago, right? You caught up?
I had to abandon. I fell back behind.
It's okay. It happens.
Will share with you that one of my favorite podcasts, Never Not Funny, puts out 2 episodes a week and sometimes a bonus one. During the beginning of the pandemic, they were doing 3 a week, but their episodes were like 2 hours each. Like, not that ours aren't, but they were consistently 2 hours. And it was like 5 or more hours a week that I fell behind. And I fell behind like 60 episodes, and I finally caught up. And I was caught up for like 3 weeks, and then I fell behind 105 episodes. And I have been working on this for 2.5 months, and I've barely crossed halfway. Like, this is going to be something that's going to take me another 2 or 3 months. Like, and I'm doing at least one a day. Like, it's impossible to catch up. So my heart goes out to you. I'm only busting your balls because it's funny, but like, I have been there. It is tough to catch up on a thing that just never stops.
You know what? It's a commitment, but you guys are always in my heart. I talk about Too Fast all the time.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Because you were our biggest champion of Zack Attack.
Oh, yeah.
Now, have you listened to the Zack Attack one-offs that we've done since that ended, or no?
Yeah, I've listened to a few. I've kind of just not been listening to a lot of my podcasts lately. My job requires me to not have any words when I'm working.
I hate when that happens. Yeah. I feel you, though.
I will tell you, between you and me and Joe and all of our listeners, that we're going to do another Zack Attack episode. We might have teased it on this show before. You didn't hear it because you don't listen to the show anymore. But we're going to do Firestarter, the Zac Efron Stephen King movie.
Yes.
And he's also got another one coming out sometime soon, the greatest beer run ever, the Farrelly brothers, or one of the Farrelly's movies. But the next one we're going to do for sure is Firestarter, sometime in the next 6 weeks. So stay tuned for that. But we're not here to talk about Zack Attack. We're not here to talk about Zac Efron unless he joins the Fast Force. We're here to talk about the Fast and Furious, once again, your favorite film franchise.
Best film franchise I've never watched.
How many of these movies have you seen?
I believe that I've seen through 6.
So you've seen 6 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
That's more than I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it any before that we started?
Oh, yeah.
Or just like, okay.
I saw The Fast and the Furious. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater. I love them. I love that movie.
OG.
I love the OG.
We'll go into your individual memories and histories with the movies throughout the lap, but you've seen more, but it's safe to say you're not the biggest antagonist to this franchise in your house, but you're also not the biggest fan. Is that correct?
Well, I guess it would be safe to say I am the biggest fan because the only other person...
I'm not talking physical size, Montez. Let's not get literal viscerally.
Cognizant enough to have watched these movies. Now, I tried to get my son to watch the first one. It wasn't enough cars. So I'm hoping...
Tokyo Drift.
So I'm hoping maybe I'm going to get him on the train.
Well, when you say not enough cars, do you mean actual cars or not enough like the movie Cars Ka-Chow?
Well, probably both.
Well, probably both. I mean, I did try to watch Talladega Nights with him the other day, and he said, hey, look, it's lightning. So, he hasn't quite gotten there yet. But yeah, not enough cars, not enough racing. He's super into drifting cars. So I think Tokyo Drift's going to be where it's at.
So now, since you were last on the podcast, what were you on to talk about? What movie were you on to talk about?
Well, I was supposed to be on for the Muppets, but my husband decided to get a stick in the eye.
Literally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't show up. So before that, it was it the Helen Mirren movie? Was that this one?
That would have been this show. I'm looking through our website. You were on The Circle for Hanks for the Memories.
Oh, God.
And the Da Vinci Code Trilogy and Legend. I'm trying to see. Oh, you were behind the paywall. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you did the sexy one.
Yeah.
You did the Cook the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover.
Yeah.
That's right.
I totally didn't remember you were on that with us. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I remember that movie. Like, the movie is so intense that I didn't remember who I talked about
That's
it
all right.
with.
We all blacked out.
So this is your main feed debut.
Yeah.
People have heard your name for maybe hundreds of episodes now.
Yeah.
And they might not have
Yeah,
heard your
exactly.
voice unless they joined at toofast2forever.com. That episode that's worth the price of admission alone. The cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover.
Worth it. Yeah.
That movie is what we did, like that, and then Caligula, like a couple
Ugh,
weeks later.
Caligula.
Just there was this running thing that Joe for probably because for early on we're not every week, we were every month, but for a couple of years he's like, we're gonna do a porn parody lap. We're gonna watch all these porn parodies, and then we watched Caligula, and he's like, we're no longer doing the porn parody. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Totally changed my mind.
I watched that with my mother.
Caligula.
Fun.
Or
How did that
Thief?
go?
Oh, Caligula.
Okay.
How did that go? Can you tell us about that? Now I'm more interested about this than anything else.
So this was...
Who picked it? How? I want the whole layout.
Okay. So this was years ago. So I've always been into weird movies.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
And one of my coworkers was like, he got me. He was like, man, you got to watch this movie Caligula. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wait, so you did not know, because
I didn't know shit about
colloquially,
it.
Caligula refers to debauchery.
Yeah, right.
But you didn't know that, or you didn't think about that.
I didn't think about that. I thought about, it's about Caligula the guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
like, it's a historical fiction film, and it's got was it Peter O'Toole? I was like, this looks
Yep.
great. Didn't IMDb it to see that it was a Penthouse
Smart.
production.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. So I went on my old faithful, the Netflix DVD, and I got it.
You still get the Netflix DVDs, is that correct?
Hell yeah, I do.
Cool.
3 at a time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's old school. So anyway, I get it, and I put it in, and thank God my dad had already gone to bed, and I lived with my parents at the time. I put it in, and it pops up Penthouse production, and girls getting railed first 5 minutes of the movie. And my mom looks at me and goes, nope, you rented it, we're watching it. And Jesus Christ.
Wow,
Hell yeah,
even
Mom.
worse. Okay.
It was so fucking awkward. The circle jerk.
How old were you?
I was
do you
in
think?
my 20s. So, I mean...
Okay.
I guess that's better than being 15.
Like teenager.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
God.
agree. Yeah.
I have a similar story that I told recently on 1999 on the podcast, and maybe on Cruise Club, that when I watched Magnolia, my best friend from childhood was over, and it was the summer, I think, after my freshman year of college, where I was just renting, borrowing, checking out from the library every great movie that I hadn't seen, and just
Yes.
the next one up was Magnolia. And there's a scene in that movie where my mom was just like, I think I'm good. I don't think this movie is for me. But there's about 25 minutes in when you're introduced to Tom Cruise. Joe, have you seen Magnolia?
I watched it with you at my apartment in New Haven, remember?
No, I don't remember this.
We picked it for film club one year.
We watched a 3-hour movie together?
Or at least, I remember watching it there. You picked it, or we picked it, and we watched it together. I feel like we watched it together because I kept just commenting on John C. Reilly being in it and being like, I can't take this movie seriously with Dale Doback pretending to be a real...
Magnolia was before we ran Film Club. That was picked 8.5 years ago. So we might have watched it together, but that was before our Film Club.
Okay, yeah, fair. Maybe you came... I feel like you were at my house, and... we watched it together at that point, though. We had watched it the same week at the worst.
You wrote in the forum, December 7th, 2013, I watched this movie with Soul Popped and Rachel kinda stoned. I made it about 15 minutes till Dale Doback was trying to be a serious cop and couldn't stop laughing. The movie looked amazing, though, very well shot. So we watched 15 minutes, and then you said, I'm only halfway through so far. After watching the second half, Solar, holy fuck, this movie was so good. The whole frog thing, so blah, 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 blah. But in that movie, if you'll remember, when you're introduced to Tom Cruise, he goes, respect the cock and tame the C word. And just says that a lot. I don't even feel comfortable saying that on this episode. And my mom was just like, I'm good. So it's not the Caligula effect, but I've watched a similar-ish in subject matter, but again, not a Penthouse production. So Montez, you have me beat there. That's a better story than mine, but...
Yeah.
Boy.
I don't know that it's a great memory, but I've got the story now, so.
Yeah, it works. That's awesome.
Very, very good stuff. So, since you were last on, you have another human being in your household. Do you think this new human being will become an even bigger Fast and Furious fan than you or your son?
Oof, I don't know. I mean,
Early reports. Is the new baby a car fan or not?
Yeah, he seems to be into it. Now he's only 2 months old, so he hasn't really experienced it yet. But yeah, I think he's going to be into cars.
It's Kieran, right? Is your older son?
Yeah. Yep.
Is he into video games at all or no?
Yeah, we actually were just playing Astrobot right before this.
Astrobot's awesome. Astrobot's
Yeah.
great. Like are you playing the one that came with the PS5?
Yep,
It is like the best bundled game maybe ever.
Really?
I love that game.
It's basically like a showcase for like what the controller can do because the PS5 controller is so good, but it's also just genuinely like great. It's like 3 hours long. Like it's not a super long game, but it's really, really, really good.
Yep.
That's cool though. So you have 2 little boys.
Yeah.
Maybe both love cars. One at least loves video games. So you're surrounded by cool people.
I'm surrounded by like-minded people.
But your husband hates these movies.
Well, you can't account for taste.
What are you most looking forward to this lap? Is there something in particular, either with a movie you haven't seen or a movie you have seen and want to see again, or like greatest hope, most positive moment you think you're going to encounter over these next 6 or 7 months?
When I first started listening to Too Fast, I mean, we had talked about this. I was not a fan of these movies because I felt they had jumped the shark.
Sure.
Through listening to the podcast, through the however many hours and hours I've listened to you guys talk about these movies, you have changed my mind. And I
That's
actually
awesome.
am excited to watch the rest of them. I was actually telling my cousin that I was going to be on this show, and he said, I'm so excited. Which movies are we going to watch together? Because he
Ooh.
loves this franchise.
And this is
Awesome.
Mike G and a bunch of numbers. Is that right?
Yeah.
You got to have him write in as you are on each episode, and we'll read those along with you.
Yeah, I should.
On the other side of the coin, is there something you're nervous or worried or not about or not looking forward to?
You guys love these movies so much. I don't want to offend you.
Oh no, you can't. We've had some guests that like really don't like these movies.
Looking at you, Heather Antos, and other people. Like we did an entire lap with someone who largely hated on these movies, and then we saw F9 with her in theater. She's like, "This is actually pretty good." But for a while, she was a really tough nut to crack. And we've had people on individual episodes who are just like, "What did you make me watch?"
This one, yeah, this is bad.
I
But
mean, Tokyo Drift is my least favorite of all of them.
That might change. Maybe not. I don't know.
Crickets.
Well, I think.
Well, and it's been so long since I've seen it, and honestly, I think the reason why I don't like it is because I don't enjoy people with very thick Southern accents.
Oh, you're not a Bama boy.
No.
Well, you also live in not the deep South, but like a place that would love to be the deep South. That channels the
Yes.
deep South vibes.
And I absolutely can't stand it.
I will say I'm predicting you're going to like it more just because I think you're going to like all these a little bit more. But also, we're going to do them in chronological order, so we're going to do that
Perfect.
after
which I think
6.
hits way better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
And so after 2 longer movies, to have a shorter, quicker, breezier movie that's wall-to-wall music, I think you're going to like it more. But we'll find out.
Excellent. I do have to say before I forget,
Yeah.
my son's birthday party was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I legitimately walked into my kitchen and I said, guys, there's food all over the place. But nobody else got it.
No one will get it. It's
Nobody else
very,
got
very
it.
sad.
And I thought of you guys. I was like, man, if only the Joes were here.
Thank you. So each of these episodes we're live from a place, and I tried to find a picture of the outside of Cha Cha Cha, which is the restaurant she describes as having food all over the place, and like you can't really see the sign. Like you can kind of see the sign, but it's not like it didn't work. So we're live from the Racer's Edge. You'll know what that means when you rewatch the movie. But I tried to be live from Cha 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 and it just didn't work. But I would love to be live from a place where there's food all over the place because that just seems like the best.
We could be live from Versailles Cuban Cuisine, 50th anniversary of the restaurant.
Yeah, we could absolutely. Although that's in the second movie.
I know. I was just saying because you were talking about
Cuban
the
restaurants?
Cha-cha-cha.
Mhm.
Yeah, Cuban restaurants, food all over the place.
Now, Montez, we are going to deliver you the character quiz. You're going to take this character quiz now so that you can find out which character you are, follow your path through these movies.
Oh, wait. By the way, I just said Versailles, and I know that sounds weird, but that's because in Pennsylvania we have a town called it's spelled Versailles, but called Versailles. So when I read that word, I hear Versailles.
I figured you had some reason why you said it like that. I just let
Yeah.
it go because it's sometimes better
I
just not to
know.
go into the mind, the twisted mind of Joe too.
It sounded, I had to backtrack because, like, I've done that to Rachel before, like, oh, Versailles, and she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But, like, actually the town in Pennsylvania is pronounced Versailles incorrectly, but, sorry, just
No,
explaining
you're fine.
my weird pronunciation.
You're fine. I heard it. I'm like, should I comment? I'm not going to comment on it. I'm just going to let it go.
It's okay. No worries.
So, Montez, we're going to do the character quiz now so that you can find, your rock, your anchor through these movies. And we'll do it again at the end. You might get the same character. You might answer the same exact way. Who knows? Joe takes the quiz 6 different times. He's going to get 6 different answers because he can't make up his Gemini mind. But, Montez, are you ready to find out which Fast and Furious character you are?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Wait, do you have a favorite movie of the 6 you've seen? If Tokyo Drift is your least favorite, do you have a favorite one of the first 6?
I still think it's the original.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll find out next week, maybe. Maybe not. Or not. I mean, we'll find out if you like it next week, but then, we'll come back. Because you have to keep your rankings so that at the end of the lap, we'll get your full, complete rankings from 1 to 10.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I want to let you know, remind you, this is now a lifelong commitment. Because now everybody we've had on for every episode, when a new movie comes out, you're obviously invited to watch it with us if you want to drive up to New York. But at the very least, you have to watch it on your own and then talk about it with us. So this is a ride or die forever situation, just so you know. This is a lifelong contract.
I am a lifelong fan of whatever the two of you are doing.
Thank you,
I'm
Montez.
here for you. Family.
All right. Question number 1. How fast are you? NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter? How fast are you?
I'm a Lamborghini.
Montez, number 2, you know what's coming. How furious are you? And I have a sense of your inner fury. Are you the Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale in that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer? How furious are you?
I'm most definitely Christian Bale that one time.
Okay.
Okay.
Montez, we're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you manning the grill? Are you channeling the inner Christianity of your town and saying grace? Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
This is what I typically do in real life. I'm manning the grill.
Cool.
Nice.
Montez, you've got time to kill. What are you doing? Are you grabbing a bite, working on your car, hanging with friends, drinking a beer, working out, or doing some work on your computer?
I'm working on my car.
Describe your wedding. I'm never getting married, which we know is not true. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay. Question number 6. You just won the lottery. Congratulations. What are you buying? Your own garage, a private plane, I'm gambling it all away, my childhood home, a fleet of cars, or a new life?
A new life.
The final question to determine it all. What is your drink of choice? Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or Joe's going up to the bar. Just get me one of whatever you're having.
Whatever you're having.
Montez, I think this is actually a really good answer for you. Joe, do you have any guesses on who Montez is?
I was gonna guess Dom, but I think at the end it might be Letty.
Dom was in the lead until the wedding.
Okay.
Dom in 3rd place, 1 point ahead of Dom, Brian, and then 3 points ahead, very, very tightly grouped. Montez, Joe is right. You are Letty. Montez, you exude fierceness and loyalty, and anyone brave enough to challenge you won't be foolish enough to do it twice. You love getting your hands dirty, and you'll do whatever it takes to protect the people you love. Others may find it hard to get close to you, but once someone has proven their worth, they become family, and you drive like the wind blows.
I dig it.
Does that sound right?
Thank you.
And you know who Letty is, so like Letty's a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that outcome?
I am happy with that outcome.
Does that sound like you?
It sounds just like me.
I mean, they're all kind of written astrologically where it kind of applies to everybody, but,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I do think you're kind of Letty.
Sounds like me.
Do you have any final thoughts before we say goodbye and come back next week to talk about the first movie?
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Are you nervous? Like, did you think this is a bad idea, or are you happy you committed?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I am nervous.
Okay.
I mean,
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. Mostly because what if I end up loving these movies? Then what am I gonna do?
You're gonna have like 150 episodes of this podcast to listen to.
You're going to buy merch. You're going to come visit whenever the new movie comes out. Come watch in theaters with us. And you're also just generally going to have a happy life because you're going to have a family that comes by every 2 years to tell you that they haven't gotten any older.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I do have Too Fast stickers all over my house. My child now has a Too Fast shirt.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Well, we bought it for her. We bought it for him.
I know. It's so awesome.
I was so excited. Fun fact about me, I've grown up my whole life around cars, so I'm excited.
Very, very cool. Well, every 3 weeks between next week and the end of April, you'll be joining us to talk about these movies. Very exciting. You'll come back sometime. We'll have to figure out how we're covering Fast 10, but sometime probably in June or July, you'll be back to talk about that. So, Montez, get ready for her because there's a lot going around. Where can people follow you? Do you want people to follow you online? Is there anywhere that you want people to know about what you're doing on the internet?
I'm really boring. I have a Twitter. Mostly I just retweet things about Final Fantasy VII,
nice.
Final Fantasy 14, Sims 4. I'm just a big nerd, so I don't even remember my Twitter handle, at JRK.
Underscore, I think.
At underscore JRK. Please don't follow the other one.
We'll tag you on Twitter for the post for this, so you can just, people can follow you there for your hashtag nerd alerts.
Yes.
Reflecting back on how you used to not read and now you even read even less.
Yeah. I've hit a slump, man. I hit a slump.
You got 2 kids, man, and they're young. I get it. It happens.
Well, yeah. I mean,
are you one of these new age parents that puts your kids to bed at 3:30 in the afternoon? Because I've heard a lot of people that have children around me that just they're once it's 6:30 they're in bed. I'm like, how the fuck does that work?
No. My man wants to play cars. I got a racetrack in the other room. I got a racetrack downstairs. I got a racetrack upstairs. So we're literally playing cars until the time he goes to bed. He actually just went to bed 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, basically, as we record these, Joe, he just went to sleep, I think.
Yeah.
That's the plan, at least.
So
Yeah.
8 p.m.?
Yeah.
That's a good bedtime. That's not
We
awful.
gotta watch Cars and then go to bed. So we're playing Cars. We gotta watch Cars. We go to bed reading about Cars. Cars everywhere.
You should just get a fucking heist. You should get the heist catalog and just read it to him to go to sleep.
He'd probably
1972 muffler conversion kit. You're just reading the.
I will send you guys a picture of what he got for his birthday. It is an engine that you take apart and put back together.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is
one of the little build your own ones.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm jealous. I actually want one of those.
It's super cool.
Well, Montez, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming back next week to talk about the original The Fast and the Furious. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye to you tonight?
I can't wait. I'm so glad to finally be here.
I'm glad you're here too, lady. I am.
For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFast2Forever.com and our store at TooFast2Forever.shop. And come back next week as we kick off the Montez lap, a.k.a. the Vin Diesel lap. Ooh. Also, Montez, this is going to be the question we ask you every time. What is the most Dominic Toretto or the most Vin Diesel moment in the movie? It doesn't have to be a thing that his character does. It could be a thing that another character does, but what action, what moment, what event in the movie most embodies a bald, strong leader? Yes. Basically. So keep that in mind as you watch.
All right.
Come back next week for The Fast and the Furious. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez.
Montez.
And we'll tell you all about it
when we see you again.